Hi and welcome to this Blueberry Markets video update with me, John Kibler, head currency analyst. In this video, we're going to take a look at some currencies of the week. We're going to identify the strength and weakness and go from there. So I know you guys like to see the strength and weakness chart, so I'll make sure I keep adding it in. But there's not anything that's sort of like a drastic change going on here at the moment. We've got sort of Euro, Pound, Aussie sort of gaining. We've got CAD losing a little bit of strength and Yen being at the sort of reversal period. So there's nothing really here to suggest that we've got too much going on. I think actually we're going to see a little bit more dollar downside coming from what we've seen on the chart. So if I actually go into the US dollar index here on the weekly time frame, we can see that price is currently finding some resistance just through here and has formed a really nice bearish weekly close currently. So I'm expecting price to maybe even push a little bit further to the downside. I was looking for price to head up towards this sort of $92 area where price found support in the past, breaks through, and I was expecting maybe price to run up into this level here. But the market is obviously finding some sellers still, and we can see this from the daily time frame as well. The market really tried to make and head for some highs and ended up just dropping back to the downside just through here. So a lot of sellers involved at the moment. So we need to see if that's going to continue or if that's going to start to reverse. And at the moment, that weekly bearish close is making me feel that price could maybe come back and retest down into sort of these previous structure lows that we've seen recently from the charts. And we can see that across the major currency pairs as well. If we go into the weekly time frame of Euro US dollar, we can see that the market did find support in that 1.2 level and rejected and moved nicely to the upside, causing a nice bullish weekly close through here. I still feel like there's a little bit of resistance at 121.65. However, we could see prices breaking above that level going into next week. And if I go down into the daily time frame now, you can see that price is definitely showing us that there's a little bit of support in and around this area, around about that 121. It kind of went straight past that 121 level and then came back and retested it. So to me, there's a potential for this market to continue to push to the upside going into next week. Now, obviously, that might not be the case. We might get that dollar strength, but looking at those weekly closes, that's what that's suggesting to us this week. You could also watch this 121 level as a short-term break and retest for some downside into 1.2. But the only way I'd really want to be a full-on buyer of this market is if it did break above these previous highs and this resistance of 121.65. So you've got to have a kind of seller's mentality until that kind of occurs. But when it does, or if it does, like we're sort of predicting here, then we could see the market rally up into sort of the 123.40s. Okay, so keep an eye on euro. Obviously, pound continuing to be very strong. That 137.50 area proved to be not really be a sticking point at all and broke to the upside. And we've, heading really now towards this key area that we spoke about a while ago. We looked at the weekly time frame, and what we identified was the most traded level through this block here, and the most traded levels around about 139.80s. So that's where I think price is going to be heading for the pound, especially now we've broken to the upside just through here. If you go to look at some kind of 4-hour structures, there's a couple of different areas you could watch. The first sort of area would be obviously previous structure lows, because we've had the market find some kind of resistance in here, support through here. So what I'd be looking for is if price came back to this point, is the market going to hold there and continue to the upside? Alternatively, nice level down at 137.43s or 137.50s, kind of this zone just through here where the market broke out of recently. That would be a major sort of swing level for the market to potentially move to the upside as well. But ultimately, I quite like pound going up to 139.77. So the kind of most alternative sort of method would be a break of these highs and a retest of these highs for some upside. So multiple choices there on pound, considering the fact that pound is very bullish at the moment and against the US dollar. Aussie US dollar, again, very bullish week. We spoke about this last week, that the market could continue to push to the upside, and it followed through really nicely. Looking at the sort of daily time frame, it didn't really get that much of a pullback last week. It just continued to push to the upside, breaking through that kind of key areas. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, however, if I wanted to be a buyer of this market, where would I want to be a buyer from? From a trend perspective, I'd be looking at previous structure lows, or at least back down into 7689. Really nice low level or low volume area through this area here, which could offer a great support point, and obviously its previous support, resistance, could it act as support through there? So I wouldn't mind being a buyer down here, with the potential for price to head back up into these swing highs. You know, I'd like to look for a double bottom pattern here, or some kind of change in cycle for the market to rally up. Alternatively, we could just see the market head straight north for this level and break to the downside. But this is a key swing point. Would like to see price head towards this level in here. Okay. Kiwi then, so just kind of looking back at this, we talked about this and the potential for the market to break out. We didn't get the breakout just yet, and in fact, when we actually spoke about it, the market then sunk to the downside. So it looked like the opportunity for potentially watching for the breakout was over. But I still feel like this could be a good opportunity, especially if the US dollar still has some room to go. I'm going to be watching these range highs. If it can take out this range high here, I think we've got a little bit more upside to be had on Kiwi US dollar as well. Strength and weakness showing us that it's not quite breaking down just yet, and that we could see this range being broken. So that's the Forex market outlook for the week. I hope you have a great week's trading. I hope you had a great weekend, and I'll speak to you soon.